In this video, we're going to show you to install the AC condenser on your Hummer H3 located on the front portion of your vehicle. Make sure that the AC system is professionally evacuated. You do not want to crack open these seals and let this go into the atmosphere. That is illegal and you don't want to do that. Now with the hood open, you're going to access 4 10mm bolts. You're going to follow the corner of the fender over right to the top of the grill, and there is a 10mm nut right here. I'm just going to use a standard 10mm socket and my 1/4" ratchet. Going to go ahead, loosen and spin that off. We're going to be reusing this hardware, so don't lose it. Once we remove this one here, we're going to run right over to the driver's side, and we're going to do the same there. Now to locate the other two, you're going to come to the latch here, and you're just going to move to the left. You're going to locate our 3rd bolt right here. Now the 2 outer ones were nuts. The 2 center ones here are going to be bolts. There's that one there. And if you go to the latch and then just follow it over to the right on the driver's side, and do the same here. Now on the driver's side headlight, if you follow it into the first opening here and down to the bottom, there's another bolt right here. I'm just using some extensions to get in there. Same 10mm. Another bolt right there. We're going to repeat this process for the passenger side. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab our grill around the edges here and just pull forward. And we're going to go and repeat this process for the passenger side. Grab the grill and pull it away. Make sure that the engine and everything is cold to the touch. We are going to be opening up the radiator hose, and we don't want to have any pressure in there or hot antifreeze causing an issue here. So we're going to go ahead and, with the hood open, access the upper radiator hose using a pair of pliers. We're going to pinch this clamp, twist that, and we're going to slide this back a little bit. Now we do have a catch can underneath the vehicle with some towels to catch any coolant that is going to come out of here. Now we are going to lose a little bit. We could drain the radiator a little, but we're not going to lose enough that's going to be a major issue. Tilt the hose back a little bit and let some of that coolant run out. Now I have a securing strap here. You can use whatever you have available, but what's going to benefit you is to go ahead and pull this hose back. Now we have our expansion hose right here. We're just going to pop this up and out of the clip. And on the other side of our radiator cap, it just presses onto a little port. All you have to do is simply grab that hose. We're going to twist and pull. Do not flex up and down. You'll break the plastic tube here on a radiator, and you'll be replacing a radiator as well as your AC condenser. On the top right here, there's a bolt to this bracket holding that radiator. It's a 13mm. Loosen and remove that. Once that bolt is out, go ahead and pull this out. It comes with a rubber grommet. Pivot that and pull the little lock tab out. And set that aside. Now we're going to come over here to the passenger side of our radiator shroud. And there's a little tab right here. Now, the tab itself pushes in, and then you're going to grab the button here and you're going to pull it up towards you. So you're going to push in this tab and this rotates up. It's basically a lock, and this rotates. And then there's a second one here that should rotate. Next step is to lift up our radiator fan shroud. And on the passenger side here, there's going to be a little tab. It's right here, and you have to push it towards the cab of the vehicle, not towards the front, but you're going to feel a little spring load. You're going to push it with one finger and lift up on the shroud, and it's going to unlock it. Now, while holding that up, we're going to go over to the driver's side, and there's one right over here. Going to reach in. And at this point here, we have our radiator fan shroud, the two tabs unlocked, and the shroud will pull up. But on the driver's side, it's hitting the actual AC line. We have to remove this AC line from the condenser anyways. So you're just going to come out to the front of the vehicle. We're going to disconnect those and then pull our fan shroud out. Now from the front side here, you have a 13mm nut right here. And if you go straight down, there's another 13mm nut down below. We need to go ahead and loosen and remove both of these. Now you might hear a small hiss or a decompression of the little bit of pressure that's still in there after the system's been evacuated. That is totally fine and okay. Gonna remove those nuts, set those aside. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out off the stud. And do the same for the bottom. Pop that off and set that aside. Now with that pulled to the side, I'm going to go ahead and lift up our fan shroud. Gently push that radiator towards the engine, and that's going to expose a 10mm bolt right here. I'm going to use my gear wrench to go ahead and pop in there. I want to loosen and remove this bolt. There it is. Now on the driver's side, just to the right of our upper line here, there's a 10mm bolt. We can access it right through the front here, nice and easy. There it is. Now on the AC condenser, we have our studs right here for our lines. Now you're going to use an inverted Torx bit, which is an E7. It needs to fit over this star end here on the studs. There's two of them. I'm going to go ahead and remove them because when we push our radiator forward, there's only a certain amount of room to squeeze the condenser up and out. The studs themselves are going to hit the cross member. So we're going to choose to go ahead and address this now. All right, now that we have our upper stud removed, we're going to do the same on the bottom. Now the new AC condenser comes with replacement studs, so we're going to be installing those there after we drop the new one down inside. There it is. I'm going to push that radiator forward, grab that condenser, and wiggle this up and out. Take your condenser, push that radiator forward. And drop this down inside. Now as we drop the AC condenser down, the tabs on the bottom of the AC condenser, which are down on the lower right and the lower left, drop into plastic locking tabs on the bottom of the radiator. So it actually secures into those tabs at the bottom as you lower this down. I'm going to line those up. There we go. Now what we want to do is line up our bolts on both left and right hand side where we can secure it to the radiator. I'm going to take our bolt here, line that up. The holes on the AC condenser are slotted, so it makes it super easy. Get that started. Just going to go to the passenger side upper bolt and get that one started. Might have to lift up that AC condenser just a tiny bit. Here it is. Now that I have those two started, I'm simply going to use my gear wrench here on this side to go ahead and snug this one down. Once we snug this one down, I'm going to go ahead and do the same on the driver's side there. Okay, once that bottoms out, a little bit more, not even a full quarter, just enough to snug it. Now, just to show you how the fan shroud itself works, that tab that we had moved and we were sliding around, if I move this back down, watch this section here, and it changes the position of the lower portion here to direct more airflow onto the engine. That's why we're going to rotate it this way here. We can slip the fan past this area. If it's not rotated, you're going to hit that lower portion of the shroud and you won't be able to get that out. On the bottom of our fan shroud, you're going to have two posts. There's one here and one here. So when you drop this down, you want to make sure that these drop down into the grommets down below to secure the base. Once you get it down this far here, this is the critical part of getting that, getting those pins. Here we go. Just drop down inside. Lift it up just a little bit. You have to get the tab on the upper portion into our radiator. With the shroud dropped in the two pins and locked on the top, we can now grab our lock collar here, slide that around, all the way around till it locks back into place. Let's now install our radiator support bracket. Install your little lock tab here. You notice how I did that? I had to drop it down and then rotate it. Okay, tighten that down. Now we want to pay attention to our AC lines themselves. Now there's going to be an O-ring washer on the other side here. It's always recommended for you to replace these. Ideally, you want to go ahead and replace these after inspection. Ours is in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and check the bottom one as well. Before we install our AC lines, you have to install the threaded studs here. I'm going to thread that in. And using a number 5 Allen head socket, I'm going to go ahead and snug that. I'm going to do the same down below. Remove the rubber caps. After you replace your O-rings on the AC line, you're going to line this up and slide that into place. Install the nut. Basically, you just want to snug that. Going to do the same for the bottom one. Once that bottom's out, and make sure it's good and snug. Install your expansion tube hose on the radiator. Remove our securing strap off of our upper radiator hose, if that's what you had used. Slide the hose on. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and use some spray solvent just to go ahead and clean up a little bit of the residual coolant that might have dribbled down. You can run a hose off that if you want, just to try and clean that up a little bit. But once again, there wasn't a lot that we had lost. Now we're going to go ahead and install our grill. I'm going to pay attention to the tabs that are on the ends. These need to line up on little particular pockets on the headlight frame itself. So you're going to start at one side, work your way down and around. Line that side up and just push it in. You're going to hear it and feel it lock into place. Once that's all set, we can now go ahead and install our bolts. And we're going to use our extension and get our bolt lined up inside here. Now our plan is to go ahead and get all of the bolts started, and you don't want to tighten them down yet. Get them all started, and then once everything is in place, we can go ahead and tighten them down. Go ahead and get this one in on the passenger side. The two centers here are started. Let's install the four on the top. We have the nut here. We have one of the bolts going inward into the core support. Just continue this process just as we removed it. We're going to install. Okay, now we can go ahead and snug them all down. I recommend just using a ratchet or a gear wrench. You don't want to use power tools on this because, well, you're securing plastic and you don't want to risk cracking the plastic. Simple over torquing or tightening will break these here, so. How tight to tighten them? You want them snug. So right there, let's see, right here the bolt has bottomed out just a hair bit more. So just a smidge past bottoming them out up against the plastic. snug. And then let's finish up with the 2 in the front of the grill. Going to put in our funnel here. And go ahead and fill this with the appropriate fluid. Now we're going to go ahead and continue to fill this until there's no more room here, and then we'll cap this off, remove it, and put our lid on. I'm going to go ahead and remove our funnel base here. I have a rag around here to catch some of the residual coolant. It's going to dribble out a little bit. Install our cap. Now at this point here, you want to go ahead and hop into the vehicle. You want to start it up, let it run for about 15-20 minutes, allow for that thermostat to open up. When that does, it's going to take coolant from here and from our expansion tank here and run it through the engine. You want to go ahead and check the level on your expansion tank here. Make sure that the level is proper with the engine warmed up. If you do need to add coolant, add it through the cap itself here. Never ever open up this radiator cap when it's hot.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.